All right, what's up, everybody? Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna go to the live feed, make sure the mic I've got connected to my tablet is going to be working okay. No, it's the wrong address. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right, so I wanted to make this hangout because I turn this fan off because it's right by me. It's real hot here today. As you guys know, I've got 3 dogs, Siberian Husky and German Shepherd, and they're really, really hot here where I'm staying. So I got fans on them. I got like 3 air conditioners in here. Try to cool down the place as best as I can because they're dying in here. But anyways. Wanted to make this hangout because I was just on the phone with somebody today. We were talking about various things we've noticed going on here, and it does seem like everything atheists say is like the complete opposite of the truth, right? If you're smart, you're dumb. If you got a big channel, no one pays attention to you. If you have an effect, no one takes you seriously. If you're knowledgeable on theology or philosophy like matchstick, you have no clue what you're talking about. It's ridiculous. It's a very sad thing that I see here, and I made a video earlier today talking about how atheists don't offer anything in discussion. They just simply don't offer anything in discussion. They will BS their way through a point if the point doesn't work out for them. They will pretend as if, okay, you know what, why are you getting these things wrong, True? Why is it that you just can't understand science? Why don't you get yourself an education? Okay, I think we've all heard those statements too. I actually heard Zeckel in a room with that one guy, Alexia, I think his name was, or Brenda. It was one of those two, and they started making those statements to him out of nowhere. But anyways, they just can't offer a point. They cannot offer a point. And it's a strange thing, too, because, when I used to talk to Muslims all the time, they would have a lot of information that if you didn't know what you were talking about, if you didn't spend a good amount of time studying the Bible back to front and front to back, and you didn't know what you were talking about, these Muslims would catch you off guard, and they'd make you look bad. A lot of these Muslims I talk to, even out, the area that I'm staying at, they're very knowledgeable. They can, from the top of their head, they can recite information to you from the various surahs in the Quran and the Hadith and compare it to the Bible. You have to know your stuff when you're talking to a Muslim, and they will come at you with a lot of information. But with the atheists here online, it's a trend. I notice it go on a lot. They don't have an argument to make. If you really listen to what they say, they don't have an argument to make. What they do is they manufacture their own version of your argument, broadcast that version of their argument that they presented to everybody, and they hope to God that people who are listening are going to be ignorant so that they can make it sound like they've torn down and they've refuted their version of their argument that they've rebutted in their videos. And it's a strange thing because even when you give them a correction, they don't accept the correction. They don't acknowledge the correction. They look over it and pretend that it didn't happen. And it's not just like, it's like if we get MP in the room, for example, we'll talk to him. He'll get a lot of things wrong. I love talking to MP. He's a cool guy, but he gets a lot wrong when I'm talking to him. And he did a video, and I made some comments on his video too. about various things he was getting wrong. And I was noticing, like, why isn't anybody else pointing out these mistakes that this guy is making? You know, look, guys, I like MP2, but he's making mistakes when it comes to these videos, you know? The Bible doesn't say anything about man being perfect. Never was man perfect. The Bible says the complete opposite of that. You know, what are you going on about science and how science sets out to prove things? Why do you think Karl Popper brought up this idea of falsifiability? What is the purpose for that now? Did science prove things? What is falsifiability anyways? So, I mean, so many things were wrong inside of that video, and I sit back just as an observer watching. Is this guy going to fix his mistakes that he made in another video? Or is he going to respond to these comments and say, acknowledge, oh, you know what, I made these mistakes. How about anybody else in the comment section? Are they going to point out any of these mistakes that went on? And they don't, because, and I think the Christians really need to understand this too. It's not all this crap that we do here on YouTube. Truth is that 99% of it has nothing to do with the truth of anything. I mean, let's be real here. Truth be damned. Everybody's got their own brand of truth. Unfortunately, there's only very few of us that are concerned for the truth and believe that we're right. That's why we want to express the information for what it is and make sure we dissect what our opponents are actually saying, so we make sure that one of us are right. But the other side, that's not what it's about. It is demonstrable that that's not what it's about at all. I mean, the hypocrisy that goes on in this community. If we're about truth, let's be real here. If it were about truth and everybody's going to cry about, because everybody's been doing that lately, crying about people's behavior, right? If all of this had to do really, truly with people's behavior, why in the hell is nothing being called out with that side of the community? I don't want to sound like one of those, people complaining and just bringing this on and on, like, because I tend to do that and other people tend to do that, complaining about what goes on in the community. But, it's just the truth. You can't be in this community and not notice the hypocrisy. Like drag, carrying on and carrying on and carrying on. And I don't want to talk about drag again, but he carries on all the time, every day, about G-Man, all day long. He lives and breathes G-Man. G-Man is his life. He exists here on YouTube to talk about G-Man. He cares about nothing else but G-Man, and every word that comes out of G-Man's mouth, that is what is important to this man. But we hear him carrying on about G-Man, G-Man's personality, and dumb things G-Man says, and a lot of times G-Man isn't even saying anything dumb. He's jumping on what G-Man says and exaggerating it, but who cares? Well, let's just say G-Man says dumb things, okay? I say dumb things. Everybody says dumb things, okay? Let's just pretend that that's what the case is in every single video that Dragnock puts out about G-Man. Why in the hell is nobody pointing out any of the stupid things that are coming out of Drag's mouth? Did you guys see that discussion he had with that guy? So don't tell me that discussion, like, real talk, like, that wasn't one of those cringeworthy discussions where, Drag didn't make a fool out of himself. And how dishonest was that? Did you guys catch what he did there at the end in regards to trying to ponder where did the discussion originate from? I mean, he was in the chat with Antonio in the live feed. He knew where the discussion happened. Why was he trying to do that? Because he obviously wanted to get out of the call as quick as he could. That's why he was being as disrespectful as he could to Saul, because he had nothing intelligent to say, and he realized that once he got the guy in the room, he had some knowledge that he wasn't expecting the guy to have. Look at this dude Skylar that just went into this room with G-Man. That's a better example, because in the very room, Skylar talks about how G-Man is a horrible, bad person. Okay? He's a horrible, bad, pitiful person because all these things he's done to other people, and he's like all sorts of things that he's done to other people. I don't even remember all the specifics that he got into, but the interesting thing about that is in the very video, through all this trash talk about what G-Man does, he attacks G-Man and makes assumptions about G-Man's kids, which he doesn't know anything about. Like, what? Where in the hell does that even come from? It comes from this fool watching a Drag Knocked video and actually believing that. I mean, that's another thing that we should probably think about. Like, how, like, you know, these guys are a little bit too invested here on YouTube. You know, like, why would anybody believe these statements that are coming from Drag's mouth? He met the guy for like 2 or 3 hours, and now they can make assumptions about G-Man's. Like, well, I don't know. But the point is that the hypocrisy, you know, you got this guy attacking G-Man personally in the same mouth where he's attacking G-Man and making accusations and about how G-Man has attacked other people while he's doing it in the same room and, you know, in the span of only a couple of minutes, you know. But very rarely do you see people pointing that type of behavior out, because it doesn't matter to these people. And it's like, we can't pretend here that any of this crap has to do about truth. Like, we've seen some of the greatest scumbags in the entire community emerge from that side, and they're not ever called out, ever. They're not. I was listening to Fiona just the other day again, and she's getting on to Spoken for not calling me out about some recent events. You guys saw the video that was flagged by Steve. You guys are going to love some of that back information, because I got some information from why that video was flagged, and I'm going to get into that in a couple of days. And I want it to be gone about a certain way, but had she have checked into that video, there's one thing that she would have known, that video was legitimately falsely flagged, because I put commentary at the beginning of that video, and I modified the video in such a way to where it was transformative. I made sure that I did that before I uploaded the video. But that's not what the point is. The point is that she didn't look into that to check it out. But she's getting onto Spoken for not agreeing with her, right? For not getting on my case, for not looking into why I'm wrong about anything, or why. Because she wanted to make the accusation that I stole the content. That was the first thing she had in her mind. She didn't think about it. She went with it. She didn't care about it. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're getting out to Spoken for this, right? He's somehow guilty. You know what? Let me play this for you guys, okay? I'm gonna play it for you guys. Give me a second, because it was only a couple days ago. Might have to skip around a bit. I know if I talk about it from the top of my head, I'm not going to do it justice. This fool's got a video going too. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to pull out this video. If I can find it. Drag, you seriously need to get a life. 25 minutes ago, at home weekend. He's doing a hangout right now. 1 hour ago, he got another video on G-Man. So that's it. That's 13 hours ago. Another video. 13 hours ago, another video. 1 day ago, another video. 1 day ago, another video. These are all, and it's funny because almost all these are about G-Man. So that's it. That's about G-Man. This one's about G-Man too. G-Man MP Morality Mashup. And they're all like, goodness, man, just take some time away from YouTube. Wow. Every one of these videos are about G-Man. Anyways, I'm going to try to pull this video up if I can. This one might be it. I don't know. This might be it. Okay, it looks like this one is not it. See? I need to record this too, because Drag puts out way, way, way too many videos. You know? I go to work, come back, go mess around throughout the day, and the video I watch in the morning, he's already got like 3 or 4 of them behind it, you know? Like he does. He just spends way too much time here on YouTube. This might be it. I don't know. Looks like it. I don't know though. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. Looks like it dropped out right there. Let me pull up the chat again, make sure this is working. Looks like it dropped out right there. Alright, so I'm not even going to try to play that right now, because it's going to mess with my connection. But, yeah, I mean, these guys here in the community, they're so hypocritical, man. And nobody's listening to anything. I mean, you know, all these guys do is they say the opposite of everything. Like they think that if they by the masses laugh something away or say the opposite of, like the other day when me and G-Man were in this discussion with these guys, it was myself, it was G-Man, it was Negation of P, it was Drag, it was the various people that was inside of that room. We clearly got the better end of that discussion. Clearly, the discussion went in our favor. I wish there were some more theists in there, and it wasn't just me and G-Man in there, you know, arguing. Because I think there was a lot that could have been said, and a lot more that could have been said, especially if we could have gotten more people in there to offer their viewpoints. But after the discussion happened, I mean, I see that after the show, I listen to what these people are saying. I don't listen to the whole thing, but I listen to what these guys are saying. It's like, come on. I'm looking at the comment section, like, dude, if everybody just said the opposite of the truth, then somehow the truth is going to go away. Really, it's just a sad thing. I mean, it's a sad thing. It's a ridiculous thing, and I think it's something that we always have to really keep our finger on. We really need to help people understand that none of this has to do with truth. None of this has to do with who's right. At least from the perspective of an atheist. Because in the back of their mind, the truth is that they've already got their mind made up. No matter what we say, no matter how right we are, no matter how direct our facts are, the truth is this, that they're always going to try to find a way around it. Just think about that for a second, guys. When you are engaging with these people, and I'm only talking to the theists right now, notice if you present to them factual information, how they're going to approach you. They will try to find a way to play the linguistics or to try to bend information to go around it, to make some sort of exception as to why they won't accept the facts that you laid out before them. And the reason why is because they're not here trying to be open to the evidence or trying to listen to what you've got to say. They don't care about what you got to say. They've got their own agenda. They've got, what we see here going on YouTube is really this. There is an indoctrination process taking place here on YouTube. That's what we're seeing. There is a set of ideas and beliefs. Look at what a doctrine means. A doctrine is defined specifically as a set of beliefs or views in various dictionaries. What you have here is a doctrine, an unnamed doctrine that is hidden in the confines of a secular outlook, right? That's what we're seeing here on YouTube. And it's being passed along by big name atheists like, Alan Ra or Matt Dillahunty. They are spreading this sort of atheistic gospel here online. And I mean that in the sense to where there was like I said, a set of beliefs that they are passing on and spreading here on YouTube regarding religion, regarding science, regarding politics, and so on. And unfortunately, when you notice that when we come to these people and we speak to them about the facts, whether in science or religion, I mean, just look at it from this perspective, all right, guys? You don't have to. I'm not asking you to believe my Christianity or anything like that at this point. But just look at it like this. I was in the room with these guys the other day, okay? And we explained to them what the Bible had to say regarding rape in Deuteronomy. Didn't matter. It didn't matter what the text actually said. They wanted to go along with their interpretation anyways. We explained to them what it says word for word in the book of Galatians. that this was an allegory for the two covenants. And word for word it says, to cast out the bondwoman, for it will not partake of the inheritance of the free woman. These were an allegory for the two covenants, the bondwoman and the free woman. Cast out the bondwoman, it will not partake of the inheritance of the free woman. All these passages, all over Scripture, and none of that mattered. They wanted to carry on with their interpretation. Look at what MP has done the last couple of days. And again, I don't hate MP or anything like that, but it's just this. I think this is something that we should draw our attention to. MP is carrying on about perfection, like Adam was perfect or man was perfect at one time or whatever. No, the Bible doesn't say that. And if you listen to the passages that are being offered to you, you would know this. We're not asking you to believe what we're saying at this point, to believe in Christianity at this point. We hope that you would. But you need to understand you're wrong about just how you are approaching the gospel. Right? You don't have the right to say, okay, if the title of this video says atheism, every day is opposite day. That is what the factual words are there in the title of this video. Atheism, every day is opposite day. If somebody says that title says, I don't know, Islam, every day is not opposite day or something like that. Just you rechange it completely and talk about some other topic or something else, you would be dishonest for doing that. Or if you're not dishonest, it doesn't matter because that's not what the words say. That's not a debate what the words say. That's what it is. That's what the title is. And that's what the problem is that we're having with these guys here in the community. It's not even just in the community. Anywhere you go, you see the same thing. It's not about, the truth here. And this is what we're dealing with these atheists we're engaging with. And we have to figure out a way to break through that. And unfortunately, the only way to break through that, I think, is to just be confrontational with it. No. You stop here. You think you're right. Here's what the gospel says. Here's what the passage says. And the hilarious part about it, or the most embarrassing part about it, I should say, is last night how negation of P, like he would speak to us in such a way to like, well, you guys are just so ignorant. You guys have no understanding of this. And just you are a fool. Do you have any idea how you sound right now? It's like someone is saying, "Ha, you think 3 + 3 is 6? You stupid dummy. It is 6. Well, I'm a mathematician. I know that it's not 6. Really? You're a mathematician? You can only scratch your head and like, okay, it's a questionable type of thing. It's like somebody claiming that they're an expert on football, and then they accuse you of stealing second base. You get what I'm saying? If they had any comprehensive understanding on what they're talking about or how they want to pretend, they wouldn't be making such obvious mistakes that they're going to be sticking out like that. And it's a sad thing, man. It's a constant thing. So, that's what the title of this video has to do with. Every day is atheism. Every day is opposite day. I might open up this room actually. Let me see if anybody wants to. I'm going to Skype real quick. And it's sad, man. It's just like I feel like a lot of Christians make this mistake as well. Everybody makes this mistake on our side, where we pretend and we assume there's some sort of objective integrity in these discussions. If people come in here to learn or to try to understand or just discuss these matters, but we really need to understand this is the real game here that we're playing. We are here because we care about the truth. That we have a set of beliefs that we believe are true as well. 90% of the atheists that we're going to be exchanging ideas with are ideas that we present to them, regardless of whether or not they are undergirded by facts or truth, or logical argumentation. None of that matters. They'll find a way around it. And if they can't find a way around it, they'll mock it and laugh to scorn everything that we say. And that will be their approach to try to undermine it and to toss it aside. And unfortunately, you see the gullible in the community being swayed by that type of behavior. They're like children. They're like kids. They're weak-minded. They're not capable of processing in their little brains what is actually being said here. I'm talking to these watered-down Christians at this point. These people are weak-minded fools that unfortunately do not have the mental capacity to understand how they've been duped. And it's not even that. It's that they want to stick together with these secularists and these little social cliques here on YouTube because that's fun. It's like they want to be part of the group. They don't want to be the outcast. If they come over here on YouTube and they speak out against us, they get those upvotes. And it's sad. It shows their weakness. It actually shows what the Bible says to look out for in the last days. But we need to understand that this game we play here on YouTube has nothing to do with truth or facts or logic and reason or any of that other crap. None of that matters. It really doesn't matter. And I don't know how I can stress that enough. The arguments that we present don't matter in the sense to where the atheists are going to be convinced of what we say. I think the only reason why we should present arguments is to try to confront the fact that the people who are opposing what we're saying are not doing so for any logical reasons. The reasons why they reject what we reject make no sense at all. And in line with the evidence, 99% of them, first of all, just don't have a good grasp on science or philosophy or religion. Most of them don't. Not all of them, but most of them don't. And we need to understand that. We need to really get that home because, I see it too often to where it's almost like the Christians are going along with this idea to, I got to convince this guy of my position. Because you know what? He just says he's an atheist and he just has the default position. No, he doesn't. He has a position in which he is refusing to believe anything that you say. And he has framed his position in such a way to play semantics in the sense where, hey, I'm an atheist. I just disbelieve. The burden of proof is on you. So you prove to me your beliefs, and I'll tell you whether or not that evidence is good enough. It's gullibility that the atheist has to take advantage of. And if they can take advantage of that level of gullibility and keep an atheist in that frame of mind, then, where they're constantly asking the atheist whether, the evidence is good or not. Or so. No. Then the heat is always off the atheists in the sense to where they don't ever have to think and give an answer to certain things. That's why you notice that when I give my arguments and my discussions with these guys, I always frame my arguments the same way. Okay, what besides a creative, intelligent thinking mind is capable of arranging all of these components in a strategic, coordinated way, like you're seeing inside of the cell, to give the cell an overall function? Like you're seeing in a laptop. What besides a creative, intelligent mind can do this? And then you always see them go to one direction or two directions. It's like, I don't know, but I don't know doesn't mean God did it. And we got to correct or God of the gaps, misunderstanding, and so on. Because the goal here, my approach, is to try to force them into a corner to where people can see, wait a minute, our position is based on logical, scientific, factual inferences. And these guys are rejecting it for no reason at all, other than the fact that they don't like what we're saying. That's really what we all need to do. All arguments, I think, should be framed in such a way to where, okay, here are the facts, and if you don't accept these facts, if you don't acknowledge the only logical implications or inferences that are connected to these facts, the question is why, and are you justified for not accepting them? And the problem is that 99% of the responses we hear from these people, they're not logically justified for accepting the facts. They're not. And unfortunately, like I said, after you notice there's sort of a trend going on here to where When all else fails, and when they are shown to be idiots or they're shown to be wrong, the very last resort that they have is to then say, things that are supposed to ridicule or to tear down the opponent, to attack them personally. That's the last resort, and they all participate in that. And at this point, honestly, I feel like we've been victorious. I feel like we've won and we've dominated the community. I do feel that way, but now we have to deal with misinformation agents and these clowns here in the community just making a mess out of things with hearsay gossip and trash talk and cheap shots about people's personal lives that they don't know anything about. Like, poor G-Man. I don't even know what the heck these guys' problems are, going after him all the time like they're doing. I'm going to go to the comments, see what you guys got to say. Hey, anybody wants the link, request it over Skype or something, alright guys? Or ask me privately and I'll try to give you guys a link. Actually, Nephilim Free just told me, guys, that he's got a hangout going. If you guys want to go check that out, go ahead and check that out too. And pull up this chat so I can see it. I'm on the other side of the room, so I can't really see the... That's not true, man. 99% of scientists don't disagree with my God of the Gaps argument. Because one, my argument isn't a God of the Gaps argument, so there's no way for you to actually accurately assess those numbers. There are definitely articles you can find online to where somebody will claim that 97% of scientists disagree or agree. Show me that. Prove it. Because there are sample sizes that you can get, for example, the descent from Darwinism, that are legitimate enough to show that there are definitely a lot of scientists out there that support intelligent design. There's no articles out there that show that sufficiently that the majority of scientists disagree with intelligent design. There are articles out there that will, one, talk about people supporting evolutionary theory, and there are also other people who will just talk about how they support evolution. But those sample sizes seem to be like ultra specific into certain very secularist agencies or universities or so on. And the difference is that when you look at typically the descent of Darwinism, where you got these 1,500 scientists that can be utilized as a legitimate sample size, they're scattered all over the world and to some of the most prestigious universities. So that just goes to show that our sample sizes show that the majority of scientists, or a high number of scientists, disagree with evolution or support intelligent design. There's definitely a lot of scientists out there. God of the Gaps nonsense. Nobody agrees with my God of the Gaps nonsense, because I don't have any God of the Gaps nonsense. I have a good logical scientific argument for a creator. There's many scientists out there like Doug Axe, a molecular biologist that supports intelligent design. You got William Dembski. You got a lot of people out there. Ooh, you do realize as well, too, that there's a lot of scientists out there that believe in God, right? And it's funny, too, because Drax let it slip, actually, that his professor, or one of his professors, I think it was Drag, might have been Drag, mentioned how his scientist, his professor, actually is an ID proponent. I love that. Kind of funny, isn't it? But you'll be surprised. There's actually a lot of people out there who support creation. What's interesting too is that even a lot of these people who support evolution, people won't talk about this. In these numbers, where these supposed people are grouped into scientists that support evolutionary theory, a lot of these scientists don't support evolutionary theory in the same sense of evolutionary theory, as in common descent. We all share a common ancestor, and the laws of physics or the mechanisms of evolution that produce the changes over time. A lot of these scientists are actually theistic evolutionists. And theistic evolutionists, if you really ask them, you dig into what they actually believe, God was behind the evolution of all these creatures and man over millions of years. And really, when you think about it, and you really dig into these guys and you question them, you start to realize that they don't even believe or support the actual position on evolutionary theory. They believe in something more similar to creation over time. Well, as it just says, just because you will believe in God doesn't make God real. You're right. Just because we will believe in God doesn't make God real. The fact that there is an overwhelming amount of scientific evidence out there in support for our Creator, that there is an overwhelming amount of historic evidence out there for our belief system, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence out there in multiple different avenues, from philosophical argumentation and so on, shows us that our position is the most reasonable and logical position that are all presented. That's the point. Creation, mathematical impossibilities, interesting parallels in the Bible, like fountains being shown in the deep, and in ways that science wasn't able to catch up. The expansion of the universe. I'm sorry, is talked about in the book of Isaiah. That's confirmed through the observation of the spreading out of the galaxies, as we know now today, through our observations with radiation, afterglow, and the redshift, and the expansion of the universe. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence out there in support of Christianity and the Gospels. You look at the predictions of the Old Testament, for example. In the book of Psalms, chapter 22, it talks about how the Messiah was going to be pierced through his hands and his feet. That was 400 years before the Phoenicians invented the crucifixion. 600 years after that, when the Romans borrowed it from the Phoenicians, the Christ died on the cross. So that was 1,000 years before Christ even died on the cross. Pretty much every historian, except for maybe one or two fringe historians, agree in the historicity of Christ, that Jesus Christ died on the cross, and there's a lot of evidence out there supporting that. The evidence out there for Christianity in the Bible and the science in support of the Bible, and it's all over the place, man. The evidence is overwhelmingly in support of Christianity. Every time I begin talking about it, you sort of lose track, because there's an overwhelming amount of evidence out there. I have a problem with wanting to say like 7 things at once. I need to really just slow down, because sorry guys, give me 1 second. Even the flood. If you look at the evidence for the flood, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence out there for the flood as well. Me and Nephilim Free might actually be doing a hangout together on my main channel to break down, in a technical sense, evidence for the Great Flood, because there's a lot of overwhelming information out there actually in regards to the Great Flood. Anybody who tells you that there's no evidence for the Great Flood, they have no clue what they're talking about. Like, there's a lot of secular articles now out there that are, most people are aware of the fact that all over the planet there was evidence of some sort of global event that happened a long time ago of a Great Flood. This is interpreted now to try to say, well, there are multiple floods all over the place. They're trying to say it, but I mean, come on. If you got boulders in certain areas like off the coast of Russia or in various places on the planet where these boulders are the size of houses, thousands and thousands of tons, or ripples in the ground that we because when we look at tsunamis, we know the end result of a tsunami that passed over a certain terrain. You see gigantic ripples, miles and miles and miles wide, and thick, in a way that we've never seen anything ever come near to it. Nothing, even the biggest tsunamis that we've ever observed, the biggest flooding that we've ever observed, nothing has even come close to 1/10 the size of some of these evidences that we're looking for the flood. I mean, why would you believe that since such enormous places all over the planet are showing such enormous evidences of flooding, it's spurts of minor floods all over the place? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why say minor floods are happening all over the place, and all these minor floods show evidence of large catastrophic events of flooding, but they're just, minor flooding here or there? It's stupid. It's dumb. The evidence obviously is showing that it was a massive flood that happened everywhere at once, and it just wouldn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say that it was just small floods. But I just need to look into some more information, a little bit more regarding that before we go live with that information, because I want to make sure that we have I like to try to speak in facts if I can. I always try to speak in facts when I'm in these rooms, because when you have some of these fools, they always try to, like Matt Dillahunty. You guys watch Matt Dillahunty? Matt Dillahunty tries to speak in assumptions. Don't bite my hand, Luna. You speak. No, you speak. No. Bad girl. You're bad. No. Speak. She ran off with my shoe. Well, that's a Bible study. I mean, that's a Bible study that we need to have, and there's we have to look at the evidence to see what the evidence shows. The Bible speaks in exaggerated text a lot, and there's something we have to get through. We have to sort through. That's what I always try to do. I always try to just speak in facts. And that's why these fools, they've always gotten ahead of themselves. And they're always making mistakes with me, because they like to mock and ridicule everything that people say. They don't ever think about what people say. So that's why I know that if I only speak in facts, and if I only speak in facts, the two things happen. The facts that are in line with the Bible and with our side are pretty compelling, and they do sound like pretty straightforward. So a lot of people, they don't like that, and they try to fight against it, and they'll only shoot themselves in the foot. It'll show that they're not open to the evidence. You guys remember that video I did on people aging 1,000 years? I only spoke in facts, and then I gave my opinions or my assumptions on those facts, at least in line with the gospel. But I made it very clear, and I stressed it, that this video was not meant to prove anything, but just to show that the facts do support the idea that it's not unreasonable to believe that 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 people could live over 1,000 years or 1,000 years, like the Bible says that people live 1,000 years. And I was only going on what experts in the field were saying, people who were not, as far as I'm aware of, creationists or anything like that. World-renowned experts like Caleb Finch and so on. I know what a flood sequence looks like, CRISPR. I mean, you kidding me? I love that arrogance, like, make sure you know this first, Make sure you got this figured out first. Like Ned when he was in the room. You guys don't understand this. I'm trying to help you understand this. You guys are just so ignorant. Meanwhile, he's getting everything he's saying wrong. And he just keeps speaking in a way as if he's like... Don't learn from Ned. Okay, guys? Nobody tried to learn from Ned. Nobody tried to learn Bible from Ned or take his advice on morality. The man is a fool. And it's sad because if I were to do half the stupid things or make half the mistakes that a lot of these guys in the community make, I would never get away with it. I'd never get away with it. You guys catch, man, like Skylar. I got to make a video over this. You guys see Skylar towards the end of his discussion with Jesus is Lord. Oh my goodness, that was embarrassing. Carrying on about how Jesus is Lord is interrupting and interrupting. Go watch that. Watch how many times like the guy could not speak. And then he turned around and actually had the audacity to accuse this guy of interrupting him. It was embarrassing. You guys really need to go watch it. Me talking about it here now, off the cuff like this, it doesn't do it justice. Hey Luna, I told you to speak earlier. Speak. Speak. She knows how to read my shoes though. Hey, give my shoe. Give my shoe. Give my shoe right there. Give me my shoe. Good girl. Okay, no. Now spit it out. No, we're not playing tag of war. Give me my shoe. No, no shoe. No, Luna. No. Speak. 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 No, you speak. No, you speak. 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 Leave Roxy alone. No. Speak. No. No. bad. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, yeah, that video was actually an older video, Matthew. That was I re-uploaded it because I found that video actually on accident. Uh, Man, that guy's stubborn. That guy is really stubborn, actually. No, get off, Roxy. No, Luna. No. No. She's gonna beat you up, and I'm gonna let her do it. Okay. Who do I want to debate? There's not really a whole lot of people that I want to debate, I guess. I mean, me and Aaron Ra, actually, we might be having a debate. He wants to have it on the non sequitur, but it's not going to happen on the non sequitur, especially what Kevin did recently. That video that was, I'm going to let you guys know what happened, actually. Now I'm going to go public with it in a little bit. I'm going to start putting up some videos, and it's going to be talked about at the right time. But I'm not trying to make it a beef because I don't have any issue with Steve. I thought that everything going on between Steve and I was water under the bridge. What basically is going on here is Kyle's gay. Kyle doesn't like my views on homosexuality, and he was upfront with me in the sense that because Jade passed away. You guys remember when Kyle was on my channel, like a few months before Jade passed away, and G-Man was talking about Jade and making videos and talking about homosexuality. He didn't like that, so he DMCA'd me because he didn't like that. He filed a false DMCA. He's trying to justify it now and say, "Oh well, you know what? He's fine. You know, he's justified in it because it's his content." And Steve, in one sense, brought up the fact that at the beginning of the video, I couldn't tell if it was because he was copying pasting messages because he was going between myself and Kyle, and I got these messages privated actually because it was just supposed to be between myself and Steve, but Steve got between myself and this guy too. But at one point there, I'm going to show you guys no, guys, stop it. I'm going to show you guys all the private messages and everything later. I didn't want there to be a lot of beef between myself and Steve because, like I said, everything I thought was water under the bridge. But this guy Kyle is ridiculous. He thinks he's justified. The video was protected. I've got the video downloaded. I've made sure beforehand that the video was protected. It does not it's protected under fair use. It was under criticism. The entire video was not uploaded or downloaded, I'm sorry. And there was criticisms offered in the video. It was transformative. But he's taking advantage of the fact that he's gay. He doesn't like the fact that I'm outspoken against homosexuality. So it was his attempt to try to get back at me. That's what it was. And they also said something interesting in there, too, that I think is worthy of noting. They said that they don't want me to benefit from the video. And when you look at the comment section, I think I know what they're trying to say. There's an alternative viewer base, I think, that are looking at it from the perspective as they should. They're giving me props on the discussion that was had. I don't think that they liked that. It was very interesting that they brought that up. But anyways, I'm going to be bringing this up soon. But when I bring this up, I'm going to try to make sure that it's going to be talked about on G-Man's channel, my channel. All of us are going to be talking about this because I want people to know about, like, because the Non Sequitur show is supposed to be a show for open discussion, right? It's supposed to be one of those discussions, those shows for, open dialogue. But they're gonna really, like, he got a hold of me too. That's what's crazy about it. Steve got a hold of me. I'm minding my own business, and they're asking me to come on their show. They didn't have anybody else to go there to talk to this guy, so they got a hold of me last minute. And I went in there, talked to the guy for 2 hours. The discussion had to do with me and this guy speaking to one another. Mel was in the distance, like, sitting over there watching, but it was a good discussion. They got about 7,000 to 8,000 views, which is really good for their channel. And he actually had the nerve. I mean, even if I didn't make it transformative, think about that for a second. Somebody makes you, somebody asks you to participate in their room. They're nice enough to go over there and do that for you because, it's a last minute type of thing. They needed your help. And then you go in there in that room and you speak to them for 2 hours. You put 2 hours of your time away. I was in the middle of going back and forth of dropping somebody off at work and rushing to go home to speak to these people. Then the next thing you know, when I put it on my channel, he's pulling this. Right? That's kind of like, that's amazing. That's ridiculous, And I promise, everything I'm saying right here is fact. Everything I'm saying to you is true. Every single thing I'm saying to you is true. And of course, what I just said here, like, you guys saw the discussion. I mean, I was there for the entire time. He even said it at the beginning of the hangout. Kyle did. Well, we're glad we can get everybody together last moment. The scientist actually said that at the end. He thanked me for coming in because it was a last moment thing, and he thanked Mel for coming in because it was a last moment thing. It's like, man, that's just rude. Like, I have people marry my videos all the time, and I don't really care. I don't care. But especially, like, I always tell people when I'm having debates with them, look, this is your channel. You can do whatever. If you're in this discussion with me, it's your video too. You can do what you want with it. You're participating in this room. Do what you want with this, But that's just how these people are, it's how they are, This guy Kyle, he's a piece of work, Look at Secret Sock account. That's a bold-faced lie. He said, I uploaded the unedited contents from the Non Sequitur show. That is a bold-faced lie. I have the video still on my channel, and I downloaded the video, I downloaded the video that's still on my channel, and they claim that they downloaded the video too. You can see that it's not the same video. It's transformative. At the beginning of the video, I used a commentary as well, criticizing the following debate that was had. And for a good, maybe, I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe 1/3, a little bit more than 1/3 of the beginning of the whole hangout was removed because I was having trouble setting up my mic and there was noise in the background, and I included my intro and so on. It's just none of that really matters to me. I mean, let's just pretend like it was a legitimate DMCA. This time, this was not a legitimate DMCA. Point blank. You could tell by his tone, he was mad at me because of my views on homosexuality. That is what it was. He might deny it now after he hears this and come up with a different excuse, but you guys should see the emails, and you guys are going to see the emails. This is just like, I'm trying to stay quiet about it because I'm trying to be cool with Steve and see if this can be sorted out, and I've actually sent some emails to be reasonable with them, but they can kiss my butt. But this is definitely going to have to be talked about. I'm going to show the emails eventually when I have time. Tomorrow I'm going to be busy. Probably next week I'm going to be busy. But I'm going to get every brother in the community, every supporter of mine in the community to talk about this. Make sure they're active about this over G+. Make sure we're only speaking about facts because I want people to see what the host of this show did. And they're going to damage their own credibility in the long run. This is how people with an alternative viewpoint are treated. This is how Christians in the community are treated. And it's what's strange about it, it's not even what I said about Jade. It's what I didn't say about G-Man as G-Man was talking to Jade about homosexuality. That's what's crazy about it. I mean, just screw all the DMC. I don't even really care about that. The DMCA crap doesn't really matter. He did false flag. I don't care about that at all. I mean, if it comes down to it, like if I really had to find, you know what? Actually, no, people got a hold of me. People got a hold of me. This is what's funny about it. People got a hold of me, and they told me, man, I can't believe this guy erased your video. Caustic Soda, for example, he sent me a message. Let me pull this up. I'm going to pull it up. And he said people want to take the video down and make sure it's not erased. They're going to put their own commentary on it and put it on a website, and they're going to be putting it over different all over YouTube. So they're going to damage their credibility in the long run because I don't think they realize it yet. I might have to work, but eventually I'm going to make sure that a lot of people are going to be talking about it. And I might wait till after this month. I might wait for a few weeks, but I want to make sure I have a span of time together to get all the theists together in the community to where all at once everybody's talking about this. Because they're about to damage their own credibility on that channel. You guys remember what happened with Redline a while back? What happened with Redline was Redline. This was a different situation. This was actually probably a legitimate flag, but I made a video or a discussion that was had with myself and Redline a few years back, and I put it on my channel. It was a discussion I had with him for about 3 or 4 years. It was a full discussion that I had with him. We were talking to each other for about 2 or 3 hours or so, and he flagged it, and people were looking at him like, dude, what's your problem? He was in the room with you, talking with you. A lot of people got on his case. He actually abandoned his Redline V8 channel. Man, these mosquitoes are crazy. This Redline V8 channel, and he ended up disappearing off the map for a little while there, and then he ended up making that Redline his new channel. His new channel is a Red's Rhetoric channel, I believe, right? And that channel is more successful than his original channel was. But a lot of people in the community started going against him. A lot of people lost his credibility. Really weren't supporting him that well anymore, and he damaged his own personality here online. And that's what's exactly about to happen to the Non Sequitur show. They're about to damage their own credibility. They're about to damage their own perception here on the internet. But because I'm going to be making sure that everybody in the community is going to be talking about it. I got to get G-Man on board. G-Man's going to have about 10 or 11,000 subscribers. I'll have to produce a nice fancy video to put on that channel to only present the facts and the information as they are presented. Right now I'm speaking from off the top of my head as I'm explaining this, so it's not good enough. I'll probably be doing a couple of videos on my channel. I'll be talking about it for a couple of weeks. You see if Antonio will get on board, maybe some of the brothers here, talk about it through G+, share the videos, make comments on some of the, pages. That way everybody talks about it, becomes a thing inside of the community. Like last time I had Brett Keane got involved. A lot of people got involved, man. But I'm just saying, I think it's a petty thing. But the way that they went about it, just because they felt like they could, that's what I think is notable, That Non Sequitur show, though, they're probably going to have problems in the future. And the reason why I say that is you look at this guy Kyle's, his personality, and you look at Steve's personality. Look at this. I'm gonna play this. I don't know. Remember if you guys saw this discussion that with myself and Kyle. I'm gonna play this video for you guys. I had a discussion with this guy Kyle. He's that host from the Non Sequitur show. He's that gay guy I'm talking to you guys about now. For people who don't know, because I didn't know who Kyle was until after he came in the room, like a couple of days after he came inside of the room, and Listen to this guy. This guy is ridiculous, man. This is a discussion I had with him on my main channel. Does anything sound familiar here? Listen to this, guys. Kyle and I have a chat. Alright, guys, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on here with my tablet. I might even try to play this. But, yeah, Kyle's ridiculous. Everything that just went down, it is ridiculous. And, like, these idiots, like, they don't understand copyright law at all. They actually think that copyright law means that this video is this is what they really believe. This video is untouchable unless you ask my permission to respond to it. That's what they believe. Like, freedom of speech in America, I guess, is limited to whether or not someone permits you to respond to it or to use their material. No, you're confusing using somebody's material as into, you know, stop it, dog. What are you doing? You know, they're confusing reusing material or, you know, for commercial use or for artistic purposes, and you're having to give, you know, the props to who modified it. I mean, no, there are different categories for copyright law and freedom of speech. What they don't understand is that these copyright laws were modified to make sure that freedom of speech was not being undermined. You know, so it's just, there's so much wrong. I don't even know where to begin. But the point is that forget DMCA, forget about copyright law, forget about all that crap. There's a lot I want to say about that, and we'll be coming up soon. But forget it all. Don't you guys think that's messed up? That if somebody has a chat with you and you pull somebody away, and then they spend their time speaking with you, like, wow. We've got some interesting characters in this community, I'm telling you. Kyle's like a child throwing a fit right now. It's like an insecurity or something, you know? Like anybody who's gay, and you know, like he sees somebody talking out about homosexuality, he seems to want to rush there and smack it down. He's got that very aggressive, like LGBT, you know, behavior to him. And it's like, dude, you need to calm yourself down, bud. Because what he did is actually illegal. He was misusing the DMCA. And his purpose for misusing was, from his own words, you know, he wanted to be rude, basically, you know? I don't see Steve here. Where's Steve at? I'm not seeing Steve in the comment section at all. Yeah, Steve's done in the chat. This Wee Man guy's got to go. This is ridiculous. What flood terrifies flood believers? How did indigenous species make it back to the flood after, make it to Australia after the flood? Why are you asking that? I have to check into it, but we do know that that strangely enough there seems to. I mean, it could have been, that there were exaggerated speech inside of the scripture as well regarding the flood. There's a lot of ways to approach this. The flood, and I need to be careful with what I say here because it is late at night, and I do need to get myself to bed. I'm getting tired. But okay, the flood. The Great Flood, there were different interpretations. There's one interpretation that it wasn't a global flood. Another interpretation is that when it's referring to the world, it could be referring to the localized area surrounding those people in the Bible that were dealing with the flood. And my take is that it could possibly be an actual global flood that was recorded in local environments. What I mean by that is that it could have been a global flood, but because of the fact that we're finding all sorts of flood stories in elevated areas on the planet, that would tell me that, okay, some sort of global flooding happened, but survivors of this global flood were located in some of these elevated areas on the planet. So I mean, it's like if you watch a flood going down a hill or something, or if you watch some flooding, you'll notice that there are certain spots on the ground, for example, certain hills that are above the surrounding water. That's the way that I look at it. There could have been a global flood, but in local areas all over the planet, people could have survived and lived to tell these flood stories. That's why everywhere you look on the planet, there are stories of a global massive flood, and everywhere you go, it seems like you can see telltale signs of flooding. Massive flooding, huge flooding, like debris of huge 100-ton, 50-ton boulders or bricks being scattered all over the place. So that's one interpretation. That's what I'm trying to say here. Because the Bible does speak in a lot of exaggerated speech. There's also another idea. Chris will probably get a kick out of this one. He's probably got some criticisms towards this. And I can anticipate what those criticisms are, actually. But there's certain evidence, some evidence, that suggests that when you trace back the lineage of the population of men today, then it would actually go back to only a couple of people, about 7 or 8 people, about 10,000, 11,000 years ago. Interestingly enough, everything goes around like 10 or 11,000 years ago. That's what's interesting about it, like 10 to 13,000 years ago. And that's where all the great mammoths tend to have died, it seemed. And it's all very, very interesting. I think it would just make sense that some sort of global flood happened. Something happened around the last ice age. Or was it an ice age? wasn't in Ice Age. That's an interesting thing, because actually a lot of these mammals, for some, like the mammoths, were dependent on certain grasses, but they were seemed to be very plenteous around the last Ice Age, which is actually counterintuitive. A lot to say on that, and there's a lot of answers people can give me on that, but here's what I got to say, guys. I'm tired of talking now. Go to bed. Everybody, God bless. I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow afternoon, and maybe we can talk more on the phone there. Anybody who wants to have a discussion tomorrow, maybe I'll do a Bring It Evolutionist tomorrow night. So, everybody, God bless. Take it easy.